Phenomenology is science. Let's speak of the founder of modern phenomenology, because it had a different sense in Hegel. Husserl was a mathematician. What he saw was the claim that science is objectivity, that it deals with objects, is actually a narrowing of the original spirit of science. The original spirit of science, if you go back to the Greeks, he said, was propositions, claims, insights based in evidence. Not objectivity, but evidence. So by narrowing science, as modern science did, to objects, what it really did was narrow reality to what could be quantified, because that's the distinguishing scientific mark of an object. Primary qualities are those that could be objectified, what you could put on the periodic table. Secondary qualities are subjective, non-scientific. I may say it's hot or cold, or I get the heebie-jeebies from seeing this. That's all subjective. But what's really real is what we can put on the periodic table, what we can quantify, and that's an object. Husserl understood that that was a limitation, a narrowing of the genuine notion of science, which is whatever you have evidence for, that is a scientific claim, a claim that has evidence. Not just I say it, it's an opinion, I feel that way, but you have evidence. So why is it that Husserl sees this? Because if you narrow the notion of science to objects and consider everything else merely subjective, then insofar as it's not merely subjective, that is, we can speak scientifically about our feelings, about our attitudes, about our preferences, about our values, but not from the point of view of objective science. These things don't go away. They will come back as monsters. This is, I think we can use the Freudian notion of the return of the repressed. If you repress reality and treat it only as what can be quantified, and this is a problem for our day. I'm sure we'll come back to this as we talk about positivism. If you reduce what's real and true to what can be quantified, all the rest of the stuff doesn't come back, doesn't go away. But when it comes back, it has free license to be irrational. It has free license to be a monster. And people need it because the quantified life is too stringent for humans. It's not an accurate picture of how things are. So Husserl saw all of that. But Husserl's solution, phenomenology, was let's just broaden the notion of science. If we broaden the notion of science, we can bring all the things back and they will count as the true. Good idea. I'm not against it. That's a wonderful idea. As it turns out, however, even phenomenology turned out to be a scientific method incapable, according to Levinas, and I agree with him, of handling what's going on in ethics, in our moral obligations to others. So phenomenology would be the broadening of science to its true character, and Levinas realizes that's not enough either. Husserl thought that was enough. Levinas says it's not enough. But that's phenomenology. Really, the only other method, it seems to me, in the 20th century that people used in the social sciences and humanities was structuralism. So people in the social sciences and the humanities don't want to think that they're just expressing private opinions or subjective inclinations. They want to have a method. And phenomenology provided that, and still does. People are still doing phenomenology. Phenomenology is a still viable, appropriate method for understanding the human sciences, in addition to the natural sciences. Husserl didn't exclude the natural sciences. He said that's also phenomenology, but it's objective, quantified phenomenology, and the human sciences and humanities, social sciences, must include descriptive science to supplement objective science. Levinas he's a great phenomenologist, he's one of the greatest of the phenomenologists, realized that that wasn't enough either.